So if a person is done with his CPL, what type rating should he or she choose?
That's a spot. No, honestly. But
There we go. So there
What's
we
up,
are
what's
back
up?
again, all three of us.
yep,
Begin
they
with
didn't let me in actually for quite some time. They were like only typewriter are allowed in here. so yeah, I'm finally able to find my spot back again here. I'd say probably I earned it.
Yes.
Yes. Soon it will
Yeah.
be first officers.
What's that?
Soon it will be first officers. then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Excited.
Great. Super excited. And
So,
congratulations,
yes.
both of you, on completing your
Oh.
Airbus
Thank you,
320 type
thank you.
rating.
Thank you.
So it was quite a bit of a journey of very
Yes, around
2 months,
2
of
months.
hard work and
Sure,
2 months
1.5.
of rigorous
Yeah.
training, where you are under intense training of
Uh-huh.
a lot of new things learning
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So generally it's for 2 months, but for us it was around 45 days, and it
Yeah.
was squeezed in, and it was very intensive at the
Correct.
end. Once
Correct.
the
Yep.
full flight simulator starts, it gets
Yeah.
very demanding and it's very intense. You
Yeah.
have to study
Correct.
each and everything, like every day for the next lesson.
Correct.
Definitely.
and if there is no gap between the 2 sessions, then you have to study once you are back
Yes.
from the simulator, because in the simulator 1 hour of briefing, then 2 hours of sim, then maybe 15-20 minutes break, and
Yeah.
then another 2
That's how
hours,
it
and
is.
then 1 hour of debriefing. So the total time goes on for about 6 to 6.5 hours, and
Yep.
before that transport, after that, so that entire almost 7 hours you
Yeah.
are there, and then after that you are back home with so much of fatigue, because
Right.
you have thought many things, many
Right.
new things there, and you
Yeah.
have always been working on one thing at a time, and then
Yep.
next, then next, then
Yes.
next.
Yeah,
There is
yeah,
no
yeah.
breather in between.
Absolutely.
So it is overwhelming in the beginning, because
in the beginning, for
Yes,
sure, it
because
is. And
not used to doing it
Yeah.
for a very long
yeah,
time,
yeah,
and when you are flying Cessna, then
Yeah.
the aircraft is much slower.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you have more time on you to think for next,
Definitely.
whereas here aircraft is super fast compared to what you had flown before.
True.
So time is very less, and
Yeah,
you
being
have to be
ahead of the
game.
aircraft, being
Every
ahead,
time.
every time, being ahead of the aircraft is initially definitely challenging, because coming from, like, we have done those procedures, instrument procedures in
correct,
smaller
correct,
airplanes
correct,
as well,
correct.
but it's different in here. Like,
Correct.
it is different because the airplane is much faster,
Correct.
and the category is different, the procedures around it are different.
Yes.
Yeah, it
It's
is
quite structured. It's not
Yes.
what you think to do, you just do it. It has to
absolutely. Yeah.
go as per that structure,
Yeah.
as
Yes.
per what
And
Airbus has given.
and
you.
as a person or as a pilot, we
Yeah.
don't have to actually think about anything other than following the SOPs. In, let's say, past 50-100 years,
Yeah.
everything is written in the SOPs. So if something goes wrong for the aircraft, we have to follow the SOPs, and without following that, using our own intention is not advised at all.
Correct.
So knowing the SOPs, where we can find it, and there are some memory items which we have to remember at all
Yeah.
times. So that's what this training is about. And
Correct.
at the end, once we are done with the training, we know most of the emergency things and what
Correct.
would be the biggest failure in an aircraft.
Yeah.
We're trained for that.
Yeah.
And in an aircraft, if that situation occurs, then we would be proficient enough to handle that.
Correct.
For sure. But then
Correct.
again, it's like after being type-rated, it is like it's just the birth, right? I mean, birth of an Airbus pilot. That's where we are at. So I and Chintan, anything that we say, take it with a grain of salt. Whatever she says, you can count on it. Okay. But yeah, sure. I mean, we know the basics of Airbus now. We are type rated on it. Yeah, and it's an intense course, probably one of the most intense course that a person will ever get into in pilot training, right?
Yes,
Then
absolutely.
command course
Then
would be that
command
much.
training, yes.
Yeah.
But in that, if you are already on the same aircraft,
Yeah.
then in command training, it's more of this aircraft is same, procedures are
Correct.
there, same.
Correct.
But here, you are changing from right seat to left seat. So one is seat orientation, which takes some time, which is not a lot of a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's more of decision making
Right.
and more of handling the entire cockpit and managing things and ensuring it is done well even by another crew member,
Yes,
that is
yeah.
a first officer.
Yeah.
If whatever is
Yeah, and
being done
and
there.
when you're a
Okay.
captain, you don't have anyone to check from whether what you did is right or wrong, right?
Huh.
You yourself are responsible for the whole aircraft, right?
Yes, it's
Anyone if-
definitely
yeah.
CRM. It is
Yeah.
not that you are taking
Yeah.
a whole and soul own decision. It is in coordination.
Yeah.
But majority part it is on our captain.
For sure.
Most of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So that part is different. Plus, in
Correct.
case of certain emergencies where only captain has to handle,
Yeah.
like for
Rejected
example,
takeoff.
smoke or
Yeah.
rejected
Yeah.
takeoff or a failure where first officer side instruments are not
Yeah.
visible in that, or emergency electric configuration or some things like that, where those need to be handled. So basically, major handling the aircraft in any abnormal situation is on a captain.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's how it is. And then it comes in most challenging weather conditions. It is on a captain has to do it.
Correct.
Like landing in crosswinds beyond
Mhm.
like 10 knots of crosswind component, beyond when you're landing on wet runway in bad weather conditions, all those things. So that is a command training. Basically, in first officers, as a junior first officer training for RHS, that is right hand seat, you learn to know the aircraft
Yeah.
and its procedures,
Yeah.
and then to assist a captain in case
Sure.
of any abnormal procedure. So, but at the same time, as you gain your experience and hours, you will know more and more about it.
Yes, definitely.
So
And
that's how it is.
in type rating, we learn the basics inside the
Yes.
aircraft, like how to
Yes.
fly, how to follow the SOPs.
Right.
And now, when we get the endorsement and when we go for the airline training,
Yeah.
that's where we learn the ground operations, like what all documents we need to check before we go
Correct.
for a flight.
Yes,
And then
yes,
we also
yes.
have to check the weather. So here we are doing everything in a simulator. So the majority of time goes in the SOPs and the emergencies.
Yeah.
And we are
Correct.
just given an overview about the weight, the fuel and everything.
Correct, correct,
Right.
correct.
But once we go for the airline, we have to calculate the fuel as well, and
Correct.
then the alternates, and then we also have to go to the NOTAMs if the runway is runway is enough for landing.
Yes, yes,
Right,
that's
and
true.
there would be many other factors which we won't be aware about right now.
Yes, there are many things which are variable. So first of all, when you go for typewriting right now, to make things go one step at a time, because
Yeah.
everything, if it is changing, it becomes
Yeah.
quite overwhelming and you end up learning not
Well,
much.
on
So
day
it is
one,
better,
let me
it is
tell
quite
you.
overwhelming. Yeah, yeah. You tell me, how did
So-
you find
So
it on
if
day one?
you haven't flown simulators or haven't been in, like, yeah, we were definitely proficient pilots with the smaller airplanes such as Diamond, Cessnas, yes, for sure, and had done instrument procedures properly, never any problem. But when you get into that cockpit and see all those buttons lit
Simulate.
up, okay, dude, it is something that what, okay, what? Then as you learn about each of those and put it in your memory in a logical way, like, honestly, Airbus is very sophisticated airplane. Like, you should be worthy of the airplane. That is what it is. Like, and only knowledge can help you do that, I feel. So once you understand it, like even the overhead panel, okay, you enter a cockpit, you're like honestly a deer with a headlight, right? like what all these buttons are, what is it. But it is all like systems. Okay, there will be one system, hydraulic system, and all buttons related to hydraulics would be there. There will be electrical system, all buttons related to electrical would be there, right? Pneumatic system, all buttons, right? That way, then you just have to like, okay, there is a hydraulic fault, you go hydraulic, all right, switch off. Now it becomes easier. But this takes a day or two, couple of days. Yeah, probably you only have couple of days to remember which button is where. You can't screw up after 2 days, okay? If after 2 days of your entering into the course, you don't know which button is where, yeah, it's a big mess. Yeah, it's a very fast paced course for sure. But eventually, so for me, it was the fixed base time when it was like a lot. And then as I got into FFS, things became like, okay, now it is
making sense.
Yeah.
FFS is full flight simulator.
Full flight simulator. Yeah. Fixed base is FBS. Yeah.
So to prevent a student or a candidate from getting overwhelmed when they actually go for typewriting,
Right.
what, in my opinion, if in case they go through certain systems and certain that these are the systems and then these are the push buttons, what is the use of it, what is the location of it, go through it, then things can be a bit more you expect it and then you know some things about it, and that's what you go there and see it in actual.
I mean, I'd highly emphasize on this part. If anyone of you has time, okay, like you are done with CPL and have time, I'd say download the flight simulator, okay? Download the educational version of it. It is like right there and things become easier. But I'd say again, like don't practice any wrong procedures on that, because if that becomes a habit, then it is really
maybe just flying part, like flying or Audit ILS, things like that.
So what they can do is they can just do cockpit familiarization with the flight simulator, because learning by themselves to fly the Airbus A320 on the flight simulator, and then if they get a wrong habit of something which is not approved by Airbus, and then it takes time, because the first time you learn, that's the most important thing, and then it gets wired into your brain. That's how you should do. So basically learning the cockpit, so basically learning where the buttons are and what instrument, what does the button do, like if you press it. So that's what they can learn from the flight simulator.
Plus it is, in YouTube some people learn it from there and certain videos, but to be honest, that every airline has certain procedures in which a particular thing needs to be done in a specific way. So I do not personally suggest that a student should go on YouTube and then just type in how to do this particular procedure and do it. If they do it as per Airbus or as per the manufacturer of the aircraft on which the type rating is done, it is fine. Then just differences in that airline training.
So anything that is like, say, someone's notes, some YouTube video or something, okay, any new information or new procedure that you see, okay, it's very easy to grasp it with video or something, right? So if you are seeing something, I would say immediately open FCOM, open FCTM or open QRH and verify that procedure, that what Airbus has to say about it. Okay, once you verified it, and if the procedure in the video is accurately same as what Airbus has said, then no problem, guys, go ahead, right? I mean,
definitely.
And so, that way you even read and learn the procedure twice. Once you are reading it on FCOM, and FCOM is the Bible of Airbus, okay? So if you want to be baptized by the Airbus, then FCOM is the Bible.
That's flight crew operating manual. FCTM is flight crew techniques manual. So basically how the techniques need to be followed in order to fly the plane are mentioned in FCTM, and FCOM has what procedures need to be done are mentioned there. How to do it is an FCTM.
Yeah,
What to do
FCTM
is an FCOM.
FCTM is a very friendly document. Treat it like a friend, I'd say.
Yes.
Okay, it was my favorite book to read in the type rating, but turns out FCTM is not a legal document by Airbus.
AFM is.
Yeah,
like
AFM is.
So it's not like it is not legal.
Yeah.
If you are given 3 documents by Airbus like AFM, FCOM, FCTM,
Yeah.
then AFM has precedence over these two,
Okay.
all
Yeah.
the documents.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there is any discrepancy
Right.
in all,
Right.
Okay.
that way. So the
Yeah.
most document which has precedence is AFM.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't you think like the engineers at the Airbus, like they have designed the system so, I would say, like
There is a
so
finesse.
simply.
Yeah.
So it's so simple. Like let's say you have any fault, so the ECAM will pop up. Okay, this is the fault, and then once you go in the hydraulics, let's say there's a hydraulics fault, and just place your finger on the hydraulics, and then you see the light illuminated. Okay, this is the fault.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then
It
you
will
verify.
already have a light
Yes,
illuminated,
yes,
so
yes.
it makes things easier to identify that particular
So
button,
that's the one thing which I love the most, because you see on the ecom, you see the button, okay, verified, the fault is verified, and directly. I'm not sure how it's for Boeing because I haven't done type rating on Boeing.
Well, okay, we are not, sitting here 3 collective of us and starting to bitch about Boeing. Okay, no. Okay.
No, I didn't say anything. I just say I don't know how it is for Boeing. So maybe we'll get some pilot who's rated on the Boeing.
Sure.
And then we'll.
we already had one, Captain Nikita Tomar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Captain
She's
Nikita got
she's in Etihad.
she
She's in
moved to Etihad, and
Yes.
if you are watching this, if you do watch this, Captain Nikita, congratulations.
Yes,
Okay.
congratulations.
Yeah,
I
she
mentioned
upgraded to
it.
787.
787,
Yeah,
yes.
the
Boeing
Dreamliner.
787,
Nice.
Yes. That's
so we can have an Airbus versus Boeing, because the last time she came here, we had a conversation on her journey, like how inspirational her journey was. So now when she comes back, then we can have Airbus versus Boeing.
Yeah, because
Well,
now she's on. She was on 737 Boeing, and now on Boeing 787.
right.
So
787 is a modern,
Much modern,
modern airplane.
it is
than-
fly by wire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So is
787.
777. So 777 is the first fly-by-wire airplane by Boeing. Yeah. Honestly, like A320 is a 1980s machine, but it still is relevant to this
Yes,
day. Like
yes.
it doesn't feel like it's been designed in 1980s. Like
1988 it started.
yeah,
flying.
for engineers to design that kind of a thing in 1980s is a big deal.
thing.
Yes, and it's
Right.
still relevant. I mean, it's been like around 43 years.
Yeah.
No,
33.
1988.
1988.
My
30.
birth year.
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you
Yeah.
disclosed your age to be 35. All right.
Yeah.
34 and a half.
34
right?
and a half. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's about Airbus. We had, I and my sim partner, we had an instructor who had worked in Airbus.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty nice guy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice to be
You get a
trained.
very different perspective from people who have designed the aircraft and then they are teaching. So they know in and out of the aircraft.
I mean, he had
and they-
not probably designed the aircraft, but he was working in
In
Airbus as
Okay.
a pilot. Yeah,
Okay,
so
test pilot or
could be. I am not sure, but very nice guy, amazing person to learn from. Yeah, so it was nice. JP Russo.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you fly with JP
No,
Russo?
I didn't fly with
Okay.
him. We had
Yeah.
so I didn't fly with him, but I had a couple of other instructors who
Yeah.
are pretty much experienced and they
Right.
share their whole
Yeah,
experience with
absolutely.
us. Right. So in today's date, like as we were discussing about Airbus and Boeing,
Mm-hmm.
so if a person is done with his CPL, what type rating should he or she choose?
That's a spot, honestly. But whatever floats your boat, guys. Like, honestly,
Because once they are done with CPL, they have two options. Either they can wait for non-type rated CPL holder
Yeah.
vacancy, or they can go for type rating. So right
Yeah.
now, if you see, mostly the vacancies, like the majority of the vacancies are type rated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then if you see the numbers, like Airbus has more numbers of orders compared to Boeing, but
Right.
that doesn't
True that.
mean that everyone goes for Airbus.
Yeah.
So it all depends on, I would say, the finances, if they are okay to spend.
Yeah.
And now the
on-
validity of type rating has changed from 3 years to 7 years.
Oh,
Oh,
And
okay.
yes.
since that validity has increased,
Right.
students who complete their type rating, they have more time on them
Correct.
before they would get inducted in any airline.
Correct.
So the thing is, of course, if after between 5 years to 7 years, if they are getting inducted in an airline, then the number of sessions and recency that they have to undergo would be more compared to if they get selected after 1 year.
Yeah.
That is going to be there. So students do have to undergo ground training. They have to undergo the simulator training, and then for checks. So that is going to be there. But the total type rating lapses after 7 years of their
Right.
endorsement of their check.
So earlier it was 3 years. Now
Yes,
it's
earlier
increased
it
to
was
7
3
years.
That's
years.
great.
Yes.
That's really good.
That's there. And that's the reason if in case they get type rated on one aircraft, and if the airline vacancy comes up on the another aircraft,
Right.
then they don't have a chance. So to
Right.
prevent that, if you want to wait it out and not give it any chance that, okay, what if the vacancy comes on other aircraft and not on this aircraft, then in that case they can wait for CPL
Yeah.
vacancy. But majority aircrafts on which the type rated vacancy comes is Airbus 320 and then Boeing 737. 320
Yeah.
vacancy is much more because number of aircrafts are more.
Yes, definitely.
That's directly proportional. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, like, popularity of doing type rating is also more on A320.
Correct,
so
correct.
more pilots do type rating on 320. But again, there are more airplanes. Like, I guess India is the highest Airbus A320
Yes,
owning
that's-
company, right? Country, right?
Not really. Even
okay.
USA has
Okay,
many Airbus.
okay.
No, it's not like
Really?
it was like one of the airlines in India has placed the maximum orders
Majority
of A320.
order
Yeah.
of Airbus 320. Yeah.
Even Air India has like 250 Airbus
Yeah, total
ordered,
of
right?
450 Airbus 320s are there right now.
Right.
Many are on order, like about more than, if you collectively say, Air India, Indigo, and other airlines, then
Right.
it's about 1,000 plus
Right.
airplanes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we talk about type rating, if someone wants to do it, then it's better if you go through the systems and do the procedures. Like for
Okay,
example,
coming back to before type rating preparation. Yeah.
Coming back to before type
Yeah.
rating preparation,
Yeah.
if you want to be prepared before you go to
Right.
the type rating training organization, then it's better that you at least do first systems, followed by that SOPs, the
Yeah.
normal procedures,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then after the memory items
Yeah.
and the approaches, various
Yeah.
approaches. Like for
Yes.
example, if you talk about ILS approach,
Yeah.
non-precision veer approach,
Yeah.
then different ways to do
Sure.
it,
Sure.
then RNP approach.
The point is, all of this is so much interlinked like a mesh.
yes.
Like
Correct.
when you know systems, you understand that when certain failure happens, what you should do, what
Yeah.
you should not do.
So if you do
things
one
like
of the
that.
system, thereafter if you do one of the
Yeah.
sim, one system and
Right.
something like that,
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
will give you an idea about how
Yep.
the cockpit layout works. You can have a maybe the cockpit layout panels at home and do chair flying with your sim partner.
Yeah.
So there are flows at every point. Like for example, before the cockpit
Before start,
preparation
cockpit
flow, then
preparation.
preliminary cockpit preparation, thereafter
Yeah, the trigger and the flows before start,
Cockpit
after start,
preparation,
taxi, then basically line up,
Yeah.
then acceleration, then
Correct. Yes,
It's very fresh with the flows.
Yes,
Yeah.
takeoff.
So one
Yes.
example, like the systems and what we do inside the cockpit. So for example, let's say before we start to taxi, or when we are on the taxi, there's a taxi checklist, and that we turn on the radar and wind shear
Predictive
switch.
wind shear.
Yes, predictive wind shear. So that if we turn it on when we are on the parking, then it causes damage to the person who was standing nearby. So that is the reason once we go out, like near the taxiway, we turn it on.
Yeah.
So this all, when you read the systems, you get connected with it. Okay, if I turn this switch, why is it happening? Why am I doing it now?
When we are clear
Okay.
of man and material,
Yes,
that time
yes.
should put it on. Yeah.
So-
So basically,
in DGCA exams also there is this, right? Like weather radar, right? Weather radar has high frequency, like really high. It's not high. It's
Super high frequency,
SHF frequency, right? So that SHF frequency with enough transmission power can cause organ damage in humans, or humans can get cancer or something like that if exposed to that radiation. So that is why that is done on taxi.
Taxiway, yeah. No, when we are clear of man and material.
Yeah, man
This is the
and
new term.
man and material, clear of man and material.
yes.
So what about women? Sorry, me and my.
So that's the reason it's better to be prepared before you go for typewriting, so that there you won't get overwhelmed a lot and you are better prepared. Even once you are done with typewriting, once you are back, you're very fresh.
Yeah.
When you do not practice those flows,
For sure.
it gets rusty and you end up missing out some, or maybe forgetting some of them.
Sure.
So it's better to continue your revision of the flows
Yeah.
as long as you want to get into that particular airline vacancy.
Yeah.
Till the time that is continued, you will be proficient enough.
Correct.
If you give it a gap, then it becomes challenging.
Correct. Because
So-
the knowledge is fresh, so
yes,
it
becomes easier.
Yes,
So
becomes.
yeah, when the airline vacancy comes immediately after this, it is you have a high chances. But if in case there is some gap, maybe a year or two, and that is the reason why there is a requirement to do certain simulator checks and hours, so that you are current.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nowadays, the flight school or the TRTO, they have their prerequisite materials. So once you enroll with them, and let's say you have 2 to 3 weeks to start your training, they send you those documents, and you have to finish that before you start your flight training.
Correct.
The
So
systems.
now, yes, they have very good systems. They explain it via CPTs on demand, just as CNTAA. And then you study from here, and then you go there. You have some idea what's gonna be and the type rating, and then you resume from there.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's good.
Yep. Yeah. That said, if I have to summarize my type rating experience, okay, I went there with a blank slate. Okay, I had not studied, except for systems, I had not studied anything. Like neither I have been flying simulators or anything. No, nothing like that. You can do it, okay, that way also. That is also possible. Even you went that way, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is possible, but then you have to completely focus and
completely
be attentive
yes.
at each and every
Yeah.
flying flight simulator.
So if someone practices on simulators, that'll be great. Okay. Now what helped me, so this is no ideal way to do it. Okay. How I did it is what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just an Airbus baby right now. Okay. So pre-visualize every session that's gonna come. Okay. Like if it's a hydraulic failures, study about it and close eyes and pre-visualize. Cockpit familiarization should not take more than a day or two.
Yes.
Like cockpit if someone has studied systems, cockpit familiarization is those hundreds or whatever number of buttons you understand within a day or two. That's how it is. Okay, yeah, legit hundreds of buttons probably. I don't know how many of them are there.
Neither I have counted.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows, right? Okay, but if you think of it in a logical way, then yeah, you do know it. It's designed that way. It's so ergonomic that you remember where what is. And then pre-visualize. Okay, tomorrow is my hydraulics session. These are gonna be the failure for tomorrow. And just imagine the situation when you are in flight. That happens. This is the light that will pop. This is the ECAM that will be there. You do those procedures after that failure. What is the altered way of aircraft operation? Yeah, right. And
like basically if you
Yeah.
go through FCTM and FCOM, you will know how it would look like, because initially may not
Right.
know that how
Right.
would it appear as.
Right.
So you can open FCOM and FCTM and go through it and then know how the failure needs to be handled.
Absolutely. Yep. Flows are pretty much logical. Like it's
But that has to come in your muscle memory, and you need to do all of them at that time.
Right.
Yes, after a couple of sessions, it's after a couple of sessions, like we get used to it. So
Correct.
by the time you reach FFS, you are thorough with the flows. So if you ask like directly when we are sleeping, we would just tell the flows. Okay.
Type rating is something so intense that when you sleep, you think you are in cockpit. Like even like the dreams are about cockpit only. That's what happens.
What dream did you get about?
Every day. Like okay, so would be the hydraulic failure, dual hydraulic failure. Dual hydraulic is a mess. It's really a mess. But still
it's one of the toughest, I would say, dual hydraulic failure.
Dual hydraulic, and then this
Slat flap jam.
Slat flap.
Slat flap is still manageable, but hydraulics I consider, for me it was too intense.
If flaps are stuck and if slats are operative, the aircraft comes at a very higher pitch altitude. Then to flare and then tail strike awareness, all those things need to be taken into account. So
that's dual hydraulic, and the other one would be the emergency elec. MR-elec would be another one to
smoke. MR-elec.
Smoke is like you can't see anything inside the cockpit.
I mean, how much ever you prepare for the smoke, first time you experience smoke in the cockpit, it is
challenging.
It is startling. Like it is not I have prepared for this. This is what I expected. No, smoke becomes different. Even if you are a smoker, that's all. I'm not saying that I am or I am not, but I'm just saying that it is very different. So that is about. So what you learn in your type rating, to summarize it all, is the flows, the emergency procedures, the abnormal procedures, the normal procedures, the call outs, the FMAs,
It has to be said in the same way. You cannot pronounce one word here and there.
The memory items, then the systems. Systems you have to learn by yourself pretty much. Or if you have sister like Capt.Neha, learn from her. That's what it is. Let's cut it here. That the type rating. What else? What's up? What's going on? Enough about type rating. If you are doing type rating, good luck and do your best. Off to the next topic. What say?
Yes.
By the way, India made its way to the moon.
Yes.
Today, the day we are shooting is when India launched Chandrayaan 3.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
So we'll probably end up doing. Right now, it has not landed yet.
It's just took off.
We anticipate it is anticipated that it will have a soft landing on moon Speaking of soft landings,
Of the Airbus 320.
yeah.
So how do you do a soft landing on 320?
So
Is there any separate procedure or it's...
it is a lot dependent on various factors. Every landing is not the same.
Yeah.
Yes,
Even
it is,
if we do it, every landing is not same. It is dependent on the weight of the aircraft. It depends on the ground wind, if in case there is headwind or tailwind, or if that particular elevation of the airport.
Yeah.
Okay, if you are landing at Leh, then the elevation is about 10,000 feet. If you were compared to if you are landing in Mumbai, where it is at mean sea level, then if you are landing at the higher elevation airports, then definitely your ground speed is going to be more. The true airspeed is going to be more because of lower density, hence ground speed will be more, and that will affect your rate of descent. It will affect your flare technique and the height at which you flare. So all these factors, then runway slope is also a factor because of which you will have to vary your flare height. So these are various factors which need to be accounted for, as well as your glide slope angle.
Correct.
So the normal glide slope angle is about 3 degrees, but if in case it is steeper, in cases where there is terrain on approach path, then you may have to increase your flare height. So these are the factors which need to be accounted for. For every approach and landing, a pilot has to decide what height he or she is going to flare, and then if you do it, the landing would be amazing. Plus, if you're landing on a wet runway, or if there's a lot of water contaminated runway, then at that time you don't want that greaser landing. In that case, you want the wheels to have a firm contact with the ground, so that there will be deployment of the spoilers, and all the deceleration devices will activate sooner than later. So these are the things which need to be accounted for in order to have a smooth landing and safe landing. So as long as it is smooth and that at a particular aiming point, it's great.
So an airline is a lifeline. Okay.
Yes.
And touchdown zone is the only place where you can land, not beyond that, not before that. And like as long as the landing is not so hard that it crosses the limitation of the aircraft. But like honestly, as much as I did fly the simulator, this airplane is pretty nice and easy to land.
When you come to the actual aircraft and actual environment conditions, then things are a bit different. It's 95% you can say it is more or less but not exactly the same. Because in a simulator, if you are given a wind, the same wind stays there throughout. Whereas when you come on the actual flight, when you descend, now considering countries in northern hemisphere, so when you descend, the wind direction is going to change. It's going to change in anti-clockwise manner, as well as wind speed will reduce because you are in a friction layer. The wind speed changes. So the correction that you have to apply will also change as you descend. It will not remain the same. So you have to keep doing that continuously. As long as you descend and then
and also the weight of the aircraft will be different, because here in Sim we fly with almost the same weight every time, unless we do unless we are doing an overweight landing or so. And I'm eagerly looking forward to the base check, because that's the time we'll actually fly the plane and do the landings.
We'll be doing 6 takeoffs and landings. Thereafter, you'll be doing SLFs, that is supervised line flying.
Right.
That is the time we'll experience it. Okay,
Yeah.
how does it feel?
But in
real life?
comparison to the Diamond DA42, the rudder is relatively much more relaxed on this. On engine failure after V1, this rudder is lighter than the Diamond's rudder. Like it really is. I mean, at least in the simulator, it is relatively lighter than the rudder is mechanical, right?
So
It is.
rudder and the THS
Yeah.
are mechanical.
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are mechanical.
Because this felt like it was super easy, so I thought it might be fly-by-wire.
Yeah, it is mechanical. So mechanically, it can be the load
It's
can be reduced.
hydraulically connected for sure.
Okay.
But the initial, so fly-by-wire, what is fly-by-wire?
Yeah,
Whatever the input from pilot goes is that particular
Actuators,
input gets
right.
converted into electrical signal.
yeah,
That electrical signal goes to the hydraulic system,
Okay.
and that hydraulic jack will move the control surface.
yeah,
So that is fly-by-wire.
yeah.
Whereas in case of the just hydraulic system, like if you say rudder and THS, it is the movement of the pilot rudder input goes hydraulically to it is input goes to the hydraulic
Yeah.
system, and then from the hydraulic system itself is that lower force is applied and it will give higher output
Yeah.
at the other end. So that
Fluid
will
mechanics.
move the
Yeah.
control surface. So that is basically the movement of rudder and the THS. Whereas in fly-by-wire, it is
Yeah.
more smoother and easier because
Yeah.
you're not directly moving the hydraulics.
It's just that in most conditions, normal law, everything, the rudder on A320 is automatic. You don't touch it unless you're landing or you're taking off. That is the only
And engine
yeah.
failure.
Yeah, and engine failure. for
Crosswind
sure.
conditions.
Yeah.
It is
That too at the
required.
time of landing.
Landing and
only.
takeoff,
Yeah, landing
yeah.
and takeoff. Otherwise, like in flight, nobody is fidgeting
Yeah,
with
it's-
rudders. And
It's all
No.
automatic.
yeah,
Automated.
it does it on its own. And yeah, it's pretty nice airplane. Like seriously, it is. There's a finesse in its design itself. It's everything is logical and
Yes,
like
true that.
yeah. Don't go crazy with the airplane kinda airplane. It is like
Yes, it's like you have to fly it.
yeah.
Because during the training, we used to do all aerobatic stuffs in the aircraft. So aerobatic stuff
in
Where?
in
in the
In which
aircraft.
training?
In the CPL training.
So mention that.
It's not in the
So
Airbus
mention that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was saying it's an aircraft that we are supposed
Yeah.
to fly, and if we know the aircraft, it flies good.
Right.
Unlike during our commercial pilot training days, where we used to do some aerobatic maneuvers,
Yeah.
and we used to experience
Like
the zero
Aerobatic term actually if we go into detail of it, because aerobatic has definition of certain attitudes, pitch
Yes,
more than
pitch.
30 degrees and 45 degrees, pitch more than 45 degrees, bank more than 60 degrees, and negative
Nose down.
pitch nose down
We'll
more
experience the
more
Gs.
than what I don't exactly remember nose down what is it. Yeah, but if we are doing that, then we need to have a parachute on board for precise aerobatic. Define if someone says define aerobatic. Yeah, but we did UPRT, right? Like
Yes.
the upset prevention recovery training on the Cessnas and
also on the Airbus.
Also
yeah,
nervous,
UPRT.
yeah. UPRT is a requirement
by
now
UPRT,
for
yeah.
all the flights, whether
Yeah.
you're doing CPL or you're doing typerating.
Absolutely.
So after the flight, you must be meeting passengers, or there would be some request from any of maybe something to to appreciate your landing.
Oh yes, so that has happened. Even that has happened like quite a few times.
Right.
Yes, if you consider recently that go around in which I at a low altitude had to decide to do a go around because of the at flare height the aircraft went like this. Again I controlled. Then again while
Right.
crossing threshold it happened. Again just before touchdown it happened, and while decrabbing,
Yeah.
the aircraft wing went down, and then the nose went up like this. So
Yeah.
had to go around. So then we went around and commenced another approach and landed safely. It was, see, weather conditions had not changed that time.
Yeah.
We just tweaked and used the another configuration for landing.
Yeah.
And thereafter we landed, and then after passengers, everyone actually they clapped when I landed the plane. So that's
right
what
now,
I got to
weather
know
in
from.
Bombay is crazy. Like
Now it is a normal monsoon weather is like this.
Right.
Is always like this. But the weather which was there when that Biparjoy storm was there, that was crazy.
right.
That I had never seen in last 8 years of experience of flying.
Right.
This kind of wind up to 20-25 quarterly cross is there, and it is not so bad. It is a steady wind, but that time it was gusty wind up to 27 knots, and
Correct.
maybe it would be more, but it was reported
Correct.
17 gusting to 27
Correct.
knots. Okay. So when you handle the aircraft in the most challenging conditions and then land safely, that's when passengers have really appreciated. And
All right.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's nice. Yeah.
Yes, and during our type reading, when we are doing it on simulator, we haven't faced any interaction with the passengers because we are in a simulator. Soon, once we get into the airlines, like in a month or so, we'll be facing passengers on a regular basis.
Yeah, passenger interaction, and we have only been passengers in A320 as of now. Hopefully soon we get the opportunity to be in the
Cockpit.
airline cockpit and fly passengers safely around different places. I don't know. It's been a while podcasting. I've become rusty, dude. Like, seriously, very rusty. Like, I think I was better at podcasting before than right now. Like, usually people improve in podcasting with time.
You give that
It's been a
gap.
while.
Yeah.
It's been.
You need a recency.
I need a podcast recency. Yep. So let's do it regularly so that I'll get recent 3 podcasts and landings.
Yes, definitely.
It's been a while. All right, guys. Still, thank you for listening to us, watching, and joining in this conversation. If you have any specific questions, put it down in the comments. If you are an aspiring pilot and just started now, sign up for CNTAA online. Okay, CNTAA is India's #1 online on-demand training platform for the DGCA exams, where Capt.Neha teaches you on each of the syllabus items for the DGCA exams in a detailed way. Okay, if you go through the syllabus completely as she tells you to, you will definitely pass the DGCA exams. Yeah, make sure that you follow what's being said, okay? And as you do that, you'll pass the DGCA exams and then move on to next phase in your pilot career. That said, pilot career is a lot of work, so it's not like do one thing and you're a pilot. No, it requires a lot of hard work. It is an expensive career pathway, so make sure that you take consent from your parents and don't force them into your pursuit of becoming a pilot. You are a family member. Your parents are there to assist you in building your career, okay? That doesn't mean that you force them against their will. If you are sponsoring your pilot training by your own money, great. Do it by all means. Aviation has not been in any better state than it is right now. So many airlines have placed orders for hundreds, if not thousands, of airplanes. Like nearly 1,000 airplanes have been ordered. Statistically, each airplane in our narrow body airplane requires 10 to 12 pilots to operate one airplane around the clock, meaning India would require 15,000 pilots in coming years. So yeah, keeping that in mind, aviation used to be a pretty much niche kind of career
yes.
stream, which it is becoming pretty much a mainstream kind of career stream. All right. So if you are willing to become a pilot, for sure, first prepare yourself for the hard work. Okay. Then join CNTAA and then continue with that hard work until you get to an airline, okay, and achieve your dream of becoming a pilot. It's not a straightforward pathway, but at CNTA, we make it as easy as possible for you to get through DGCA exams and guide you throughout your pilot career. That's what we do at CNTAA, okay. Capt.Neha always is there to solve your doubts, okay. That said, I think that is the best of myself I could do for this podcast. I think so.
You did well. You did well.
Yes, and if you have any questions, if you would like us to cover some topic in the next podcast or in the upcoming podcast, feel free to drop a comment down below, and we'll try to cover it in the next podcast. And thank you for watching this podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, we used to tell stories before. We should do that, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, next time we'll have many stories, okay, for sure. Okay, I'll be better, I promise.
So I hope you have learned something from this podcast and know how you should go about type rating. And if you have any issues, or if you're getting stumbled at any point in your pilot training career pathway, then feel free to reach out to us, and we will do our level best to help you out in the best possible manner in our capacity. Thank you very much for watching it, and whether it is for CPL or for ATPL, then do not hesitate to sign up at CNTAA.
DGCA,
Online.in.
CPL, ATPL, whatever, pilot training related, sign up.
Yes, we are there.
Yep.
Wish you
And-
all the best, and see you in the next one.
Absolutely. Yep. See you. Thank you.